Hi, friends! Well, guess what? It is October, which means apple season! Hi, friends! You guys have apples too! How awesome!
Yeah, we totally do. In fact, I was thinking that one of the things I love to do with apples is make some comparisons. Watch this. All right, boys and girls, one of my favorite things to do is compare apples. I have my pan balance here. So I like to stick the apple on one side and see that it's super heavy. So then I found other objects around my house that I can compare to, like an orange. Ooh, the apple is still heavier than the orange. Let's try something else. Let's try a tennis ball. Oh, tennis ball is super light. The apple didn't even move at all. Let's try something even larger. My magic 8 ball. Whoa, the magic 8 ball is definitely heavier than the apple because it fell way down. But that really makes me wonder, because if an apple feels heavy, does that mean it can't do other things like float?
Hi, friends! Mrs. Reyes had a really good question about floating. Well, I was thinking about it and I thought, hey, I wonder if my apple can float in water. So let me tip this down here. I have a big bucket here filled with water, and I was wondering if my apple would sink or float. What do you think? Let's take a look here. It is floating at the top. So then I thought, if my apple is this big, I wonder what happens when I cut my apple. Maybe make it look like a boat almost. So I have a plate. Again, be very careful. Sharp knife. I'm going to cut it off to the side here. And if I try different sizes, I wonder what's going to happen then, too. You can see it. They are floating. It means that it's still less dense than the water that it's in because it's floating. Pretty cool, right? I wonder what else you could do with apples.
So, Mrs. Long, you gave me a great idea. I love apples, but sometimes I don't like to eat the whole apple at one time. Have you ever noticed when you cut an apple and leave it sit, it turns this ugly brown color? Some people don't like to eat an ugly brown apple. Well, if you're one of those people, I found out a little trick. This is a chemical reaction that is called oxidation. You have oxygen interacting with the apple and changing this to make that weird, nasty brown flavor and color on your apple. If you find some kind of citrus fruit, I have a lime here, pre-cut. Again, if you're using a knife, make sure you have adult supervision. You can take your lime, squirt it on the apple, and it will preserve that and slow down this oxidation process. So here is one half of my apple that I cut this morning. And here's the other half of that same apple. This is about 6 hours in, and check out the difference that we've got going on here. One way you can experiment with this is try different citrus fruits, maybe an orange, maybe a lemon, who knows?
So, friends, we've learned a lot about different properties of apples today, both physical properties like weight and density, and chemical properties like reacting with the air. One of the properties that I always think about is states of matter. When we saw Ms. Long with the buoyancy experiment, she had the water, which is a liquid, and then the apples, which are a solid. And that made me think something else that floats is ice cubes. Well, we've all seen ice cubes turn from a solid to a liquid. Can apples do that too? Not in exactly the same way, but apples actually do come in all three states of matter. So this is obviously a solid. It has a fixed volume and a fixed shape. It's not going to change unless I smash it with a sledgehammer like I did in that video at the beginning. And if I took that and started boiling it and breaking it down, I might end up with something like apple cider, one of my favorites in the fall. And from there, it can even be made into things like oils, which can be added to a candle and produce a gas that smells like apples. So even though something that we think of as just one state of matter can actually exist in all three.
Friends, there's so many different opportunities for you to explore apples, just like we did here with you today. So I want to know, which one are you going to choose?